Have you ever felt that, no matter how hard you try, something invisible seems to be blocking your path? As if there were a silent barrier between you and the prosperity you desire so much? Well, you are not alone. Many people find themselves repeating cycles of scarcity without understanding why. But what if I told you that there is an ancient, powerful key that many have forgotten about, capable of unlocking these doors? What few people know is that within the Bible itself there is a true manual of spiritual activation, and one of its greatest treasures is right at the beginning, the Salmo 1. It is not just a pretty poem or a decorative prayer. It is a vibrational script, a divine code that, if applied with intention and awareness, has the power to align your mind, words and energy with prosperity. Here, the promise is not cheap magic, nor an instant solution. It is real transformation, from the inside out. Let's explore together how power of words, as positive affirmations and even concepts of neuroscience can join the wisdom of the Psalms to put your life on the right track. And the best part, you can start today. But be careful, once you understand what Psalm 1 really teaches, it will be impossible to continue living on autopilot. Are you ready to break down these barriers and activate the most prosperous part of you? Since ancient times, humanity has already intuited, words have power. And this is not an exaggeration, it is literal. In Genesis, the universe itself was created with a sequence of verbal commands, let there be light, and there was light. In John, we are reminded that, in the beginning was the Word. In other words, before anything existed, the creative vibration already existed, the frequency of words. Every time you say something, you are vibrating a seed that will manifest in your reality. The question is, what kind of world are you creating with what comes out of your mouth? This isn't some loose mystical idea, it speaks to the science of the mind. When we repeat negative phrases like, I can't handle it, or, I'm unlucky, we're programming our identity, moving away from our true self. Spiritual alignment. Instead, how about experiencing the power of a simple change? Replacing, I can't, with a firm, I am capable. As positive affirmations they work like codes that activate new possibilities. It is as if each planted word activates a little piece of our prosperity. And here comes a crucial detail, the brain does not know how to differentiate between imagination and reality. When stating, I am abundance, with conviction, you activate your nervous system as if this abundance were already present. This changes your behavior, your decisions, your vibration. That's when the mirror neurons come into play, they reflect patterns from outside and inside. So when you speak with faith, your mind believes it and begins to act like a prosperous person. Want to see this in practice? Start your day with 5 affirmations, I am light. I am peace. I am prosperous. Everything flows in my favor. Life blesses me. Repeat this while looking into your own eyes in the mirror. It may seem silly at first, but keep at it for 7 days. You will notice a subtle change in your energy, your mood, and little by little, in your results. Speaking is planting. And those who plant words consciously reap miracles. Do you know that feeling of peace that invades you when you read a psalm in silence? It's not just emotional, it's vibrational. Psalms are not just ancient texts or ritualistic prayers, they function as real spiritual tools, charged with mental and emotional power. Written with intention, rhythm and symbolic language, the Psalms activate deep codes within us. When we recite one of them with faith, it is as if we align our emotions with the divine plan, we are in tune with something greater, with the flow of prosperity. King David, the main author of the Psalms, is the greatest example of this. He went through deserts, betrayals and wars, but he never stopped declaring his faith in words. Even in the midst of chaos, David used the Psalms to keep him strong. He understood the power of words, and he knew that by expressing confidence and hope, he was paving the way for victory. No wonder he was called a man after God's own heart. When you understand this, you realize that the Psalms are not just comfort, they are spiritual strategy. Now, think about it, if each word carries a frequency, what happens when you recite a psalm full of affirmations like, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want"? The vibration changes. You change. And so does the environment. This is spiritual alignment in practice. It's like using the Bible itself as an energy tuner, tuning you into what you want to attract: balance, healing, protection, or prosperity. If you want to try it, choose a psalm and read it out loud every day for a week. But don't read it automatically. Read it feelingly, letting each word touch your soul. Then, write down in a notebook any changes you notice, be it a new thought, a sign on the path, a different feeling. Little by little, you'll realize that these sacred words have more power than many modern techniques. And guess what? This prepares us for the next step, finding a specific psalm that is a true success script. Few people realize, but the Salmo one is practically a spiritual treasure map. It begins with a powerful warning: "Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the wicked." In other words, it teaches us that the path of prosperity starts with discernment, knowing where to step, who to hang out with, what to listen to. It's not just about avoiding bad company, but about protecting your mind and your vibrational field. It all starts with this filter: what you consume feeds what you manifest. Then the psalm gives away the secret: "But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night." This is spiritual discipline, and also a code of conduct. Spiritual alignment. Meditation here is not just stopping and breathing, it is reflecting, diving, letting the divine words transform your interior. The mind, when trained to think what is pure and elevated, naturally moves away from scarcity and toward abundance. Power of words enters the scene once again, now with full focus. The most symbolic verse compares the wise person to a tree planted by the river. And look how beautiful it is: "This tree yields its fruit in its season, and whatever he does prospers." This image sums up what many modern books try to explain with complex theories. When you are connected to the river of life, with deep roots in faith and purpose, the fruit will come, sooner or later. There is no magic, there is constancy. And the soil of constancy is fertilized with positive affirmations and conscious choices. Want to practice this? Try writing Psalm 1 by hand every day for a week. Yes, the old-fashioned way. As you write, read it out loud. As you read, feel it. And as you feel it, imagine your life blossoming like this tree by the waters. It seems simple, but this little ritual has the power to reprogram your mind, your vibration, and even your surroundings. Prosperity is not a destination, it is a process. And this psalm is your spiritual GPS. Science is even beginning to better understand why this works. Today, science has been able to confirm something that the Psalms revealed centuries ago: our environment and our thoughts shape who we are. A fascinating example of this is in mirror neurons, brain cells that fire as if we were doing what we see others doing. This means that when you surround yourself with negativity, even without realizing it, your mind copies patterns of fear, scarcity, and limitation. This is why Salmo 1 starts with a warning about who you hang out with. Science applauds this. Imagine a person who only hears bad news, lives surrounded by complaints, and believes that money is hard to come by. Even without intention, he is reprogramming his brain to expect the worst. His environment creates his reality. The same goes for those who decide to walk with the righteous, as the Psalm says, that is, people of faith, vision, and action. Being around those who believe in prosperity activates your mirror neurons to mimic that frequency. You vibrate at the same pitch, without making any conscious effort. Furthermore, research shows that the brain physically reacts to words. Words of love, faith, and gratitude activate regions linked to well-being and creativity. Negative words activate fear and withdrawal. This is exactly what we see in the contrast in Psalm 1, "He who meditates on the law flourishes, but he who mocks wisdom vanishes like chaff in the wind." Therefore, reciting positive affirmations, it's not just self-help, it's neural reprogramming, it's science applied to spirituality. So, do you want a practical exercise? Do a mental detox. Spend an entire day paying attention to what you hear, say, and watch. Avoid criticism, gossip, and heavy news. Swap them for uplifting music, texts like the Psalms, and inspiring conversations. Notice how your energy changes. This is a modern way of living what Psalm 1 has taught for millennia. And when you start to feel lighter, more connected, it's a sign that you're ready to align yourself with something even deeper, the power of I am. In the spiritual world, few expressions carry as much power as I am. When Moses asked God who he was, the answer was clear: I am who I am. This was no accident. I am is an affirmation of identity, presence, and creative power. Every time you say, I am, you are setting in motion an energy that shapes your reality. And this is where the Salmo 1 gains even more depth. He doesn't just talk about avoiding the negative, but about rooting yourself in the positive, in who you are decides to be. The practice of positive affirmation sits like a gym for the soul. Simple phrases like, I am prosperous, I am peace, or I am guided by divine wisdom, may seem trivial at first, but repeated with intention, they build a new self-image. It's as if each word plants a seed in your subconscious. And over time, what was just a phrase becomes an attitude, then a habit, and, finally, a new life, spiritual alignment. That's it, speaking, thinking, and acting in harmony with your purpose. Remember the tree in Psalm 1, planted by the river? It doesn't struggle to bear fruit. It's just in the right place, nourished by the right waters. When you anchor yourself in the I am, you become like that tree. Blessings begin to flow more naturally because you stop fighting the river and start flowing with it. It's not about forcing results, but about becoming someone who attracts them. Prosperity stops being a distant goal and becomes a reflection of your state of being. If you want to try this, create your own I am meditation. Put on some soft instrumental music, take a deep breath, and repeat your favorite phrases for 10 minutes. You can do it when you wake up or before you go to sleep. Say firmly, I am light. I am abundance. I am loved. I am guided. Feel each word as a root that connects you to the divine. And if you do this consistently, you will notice something curious: things begin to align, doors open, and you won't always know how. But you will feel it. And when that happens, it's time to put it into practice. Now that you understand the spiritual, emotional, and even scientific force behind Salmo 1, comes the most important part: how to apply this in everyday life. It's no use just understanding it in theory. Transformation happens when we get our hands dirty. So, here's a straightforward tip: choose a time in your day to make Psalm 1 a personal ritual. It could be in the morning, with a quiet coffee, or at night, before bed. Read it out loud, with presence. Feel each word as a sacred command that aligns your soul with the prosperity. Another powerful practice is to write the psalm by hand. Yes, with pen and paper. This activates different areas of the brain, reinforces the message in the subconscious, and also trains focus and patience. indispensable virtues for those who want to grow spiritually and financially. You can also choose a key verse to be your anchor for the day. Something like, "Whatever you do will prosper." Repeat this mentally throughout the day, especially when doubt, fear or tiredness strike. The power of words enters as fuel of faith. And how about teaching this to someone you love? It may seem too simple, but sharing this practice with your children, friends, or even in your family group on WhatsApp can create a chain of light. Imagine everyone repeating together, "I am like a tree planted by the river." This creates collective spiritual alignment and activate the famous mirror neurons. When someone close to you vibrates faith, you automatically enter into that harmony. It is living spirituality, being passed on as a legacy. Ultimately, the secret is consistency. One psalm a day. One affirmation at a time. One step at a time. It may seem like nothing at first, but before long you will notice small synchronicities, the right people appearing, doors that were previously closed beginning to open. This is the universe responding to your new vibrational state. And those who experience this know, it is not a coincidence, it is a consequence. The next step. Keep planting, trusting, and harvesting. And now that you've discovered all this, what are you going to do with this knowledge? The most powerful answer isn't always in what we learn, but in what we decide to apply. How about starting today with something simple, like taking 5 minutes to recite the Salmo 1, out loud, with intention? Have you ever imagined what could happen if you made this a sacred habit? Are you prepared to live a life where prosperity is not just a distant wish, but a reflection of your inner state? What would it be like to start the day believing that, whatever you do will prosper? What would change in your routine if you saw yourself as a strong, nourished tree, connected to the divine source? Remember, you are the creator of your reality. Power of words is in your hands, in your mouth, in your heart. Affirm with courage, declare with faith, choose with wisdom. Align yourself with the I am, and see how the world responds differently when you change from within. If this content made sense to you, if it awakens something within you, then subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. There's more to come, psalms, meditations and reflections that will raise your vibration and open paths where before there were only doubts. The journey of transformation is just beginning.